I was never the kind of person to believe in ghost stories. Growing up, I always rolled my eyes at tales of cursed places, haunted mansions, or dolls that whispered in the night. But then I heard about the old toy factory in Graywick, and everything changed. I first came across it while researching abandoned industrial sites for a local history podcast I'd been planning. Graywick wasn't far from where I lived, an old mill town that had slowly crumbled into obscurity, forgotten by everyone except the few who still clung to their rusting homes and failing memories. But even in that quiet decay, one name still stirred hushed whispers and nervous glances: Tindlewood Toys. The legend started decades ago. Tindlewood was once a booming toy manufacturer in the early 1900s, known for its handcrafted wooden toys, marionettes, wind-up animals, rocking horses, with glass eyes that never blinked. But something was always off. Rumors of strange accidents. A child disappearing on a factory tour. A worker found in pieces inside a packaging machine, his body twisted in ways machinery couldn't explain. They said the toys made after that incident would cry at night when no one was around. I thought it was all just exaggerated folklore. Every small town has its ghost stories. But then I started digging deeper, and that's when things got weird. Early accounts. The first real account I found was buried in a local library's archives. A 1954 newspaper clipping. Girl vanishes in Tindlewood factory. She was 9. Her class was on a school trip. One moment she was there, laughing, pointing at the doll displays, and the next she was gone. No trace. The police suspected a kidnapping, but no one ever found her. Her name was Eleanor Finch. I found more stories. In 1961, a night guard quit after just 3 shifts, claiming he heard children giggling in the storage rooms at 2 a.m., even though the building had been cleared. In 1972, a maintenance worker reportedly fled the premises in hysterics, swearing a marionette had spoken to him in a voice that sounded like his dead brother's. Each account added another thread to the web of the legend. The factory seemed to absorb tragedy and echo it back through the years, like a cursed cassette tape replaying the same horrors in new forms. Over time, the story evolved. People started calling the factory the Toy Box, as if it was some twisted Pandora's box that should have stayed shut. They said if you stood near the factory gates at midnight and whispered the name Eleanor, you'd hear her crying inside. That was the first time I began to feel something more than curiosity. I felt drawn to the place, and it scared me. Exploring the factory's history. To understand the legend, I had to understand the factory. So I visited Graywick. The town looked as if it had been drained of color. Gray skies, gray buildings, gray people. Everyone I spoke to knew about the factory, but they'd clam up the moment I asked questions. Finally, I met someone who agreed to talk. His name was Alton Greaves, 78, a former Tindlewood employee. The place was wrong from the beginning. He told me over coffee at the diner. Built on swampland. They drained it but never got all the water out. Floors always warped in summer like the whole place was breathing. And then the accidents started. Small ones at first. Cuts. Broken. Fingers. Then worse. I asked about the girl, Eleanor. Alton's face darkened. We don't talk about her. Not just because of what happened, but because some say she never left. He told me the company went bankrupt in 1983 after a fire gutted the west wing of the building. They called it an accident. Alton didn't buy that. There was no source, he said. No matches, no chemicals, nothing. Just flame, like it wanted to burn. After the fire, Tindlewood closed for good. The town suffered, jobs vanished, shops shuttered. But the factory, it stayed. It stood at the edge of Graywick, rusting and rotting, surrounded by a sagging chain-link fence no one dared breach. Until I did. The haunting encounters. I visited the factory at sunset. The sky looked like spilled oil, purple and black streaks, dripping into the trees. The chain-link fence was bent and easy to slip through. The air was thick with the scent of wet wood and decay. My flashlight flickered the moment I stepped inside. Inside, it was like walking into a fossilized nightmare. Dust coated everything like skin. Rows of rusted conveyor belts, broken doll molds, collapsed shelves. But the worst part? The toys. Still there, still staring. Wooden horses missing legs, doll heads with empty sockets, a marionette with severed strings hanging from the ceiling, swaying gently even though there was no wind. I began to record audio for the podcast. 10 minutes in, I heard something, a giggle, faint, childlike. I froze, listened. Nothing. Then came a voice, whisper thin, right behind me. Play with me. I spun around. No one. But one of the dolls, a porcelain-faced girl with a cracked cheek, was lying on the ground, facing me, even though I was sure it had been on the shelf. I ran. Later, I listened to the recording. There it was, clear as day. A soft giggle, and then the voice. Play with me. Exactly as I'd heard it. It wasn't in my head. I wasn't the only one. I found an old YouTube video from urban explorers who broke into the factory years before. One of them claimed he saw a girl's reflection in a broken mirror, one that had no glass left. Another video showed what looked like tiny handprints on the inside of a sealed cabinet door. Everyone described similar things: whispers, cold spots, toys moving on their own. The most common? The giggle. Always that same eerie giggle echoing through the halls. Debunking the myths, I tried to rationalize it. I wanted to believe there was a logical explanation. First, the recordings. Sound can travel in strange ways in old buildings. Pipes, warped walls. Pareidolia can make static sound like voices. I found a sound engineer who analyzed my clip. He couldn't explain it, but he said old tape recorders sometimes pick up stray frequencies. Radio cross-talk. Okay, plausible. Then, the moving toys. Power of suggestion. If enough people expect to see something, the mind fills in the blanks. Hallucinations triggered by fear. But what about the legends? I traced the earliest record of Eleanor Finch's disappearance to a family filing. Turns out there's no police report, no obituary, no school records. The only mention of her is in that one newspaper article, an article that was mysteriously torn out of every microfiche copy in surrounding counties, except one. Almost as if someone wanted the story to exist, but not be verified. Then it hit me. What if the legend itself was the haunting? A tulpa, a thought form. Something created not by a ghost, but by us, by the constant telling and retelling of the same horrifying story until it becomes real. Could it be that the factory wasn't haunted by spirits, but by belief? What lies within the walls? I've gone back to the factory 3 times since. Each visit feels more intense, like the place remembers me. The last time I stayed until just before midnight. I stood by the front gates, whispered, her name, Eleanor, nothing. Then a sound from inside, drip, 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 like wet footsteps. I didn't run this time. I stepped back inside, past the rusted machinery, deeper into the factory than I'd ever dared go, down into the basement. I found something new, a door I hadn't seen before. It looked new, untouched by time. I opened it. Inside was a small room, a child's room, clean, untouched, a wooden bed, a bookshelf with toys, a name carved into the wall in crayon, Eleanor. I turned to leave. The door slammed shut. My flashlight died. Then, the giggle. Right behind me, I screamed. When I came to, I was outside, alone. Hours had passed. I haven't gone back since, but I think about it every night. About what lies behind that door, about the room that shouldn't exist, and most of all, about her. Even now, as I share this, I can feel her eyes on me. The legend endures because we keep it alive. Every whisper, every visit, every terrified gasp in the dark feeds it. So I leave you with this. Was Eleanor ever real? Or did we make her real? And if belief can bring her into existence, what else have we created? I don't know the answers, but if you've ever been to Graywick, if you've ever stood before the factory's gates at midnight, and you think, you hear a giggle in the silence, run, or worse, answer. Do you believe in Eleanor? Have you ever visited the factory? Share your stories in the comments below. And whatever you do, don't whisper her name at night.